Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. One of our favorites, Barry Trammell, will join us to talk Big 12 football coming up at 8 o'clock. Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan to talk Utah and Texas Tech at 9 o'clock. Right now, we start off, though, with the game last night. RSL thumped by LAFC 4-1. Couple early goals from Son, then the South Korean finishes the hat trick late in the game when RSL rallied to make it 2-1 on a gorgeous goal by Xavier Goza. I mean, just unreal athleticism on display there. But Buenga followed up with one, and it was 4-1 final. It was not a glorious night. And then Victor Otunji gets a red card in stoppage time. Not a good finish to the night. Here's Pablo Mastroeni after the game. Pablo, just your thoughts on this game, what you saw over especially the 2 goals early, but then the 2 goals late.
Yeah, I think they're a team that took advantage of fortuitous moments, and obviously with Son, he's a killer, and give him an inch, and he did what he did. But I think from our standpoint, I think we just got to be a bit more physical, especially on the last 2. Right? We have plays under control. We have the decisions that we make in those moments. There's a phrase that we use: it's either the ball or the man, but it's never neither. And on both of those plays, it was neither. Right? And so in a game like this, I think at 2-1. We got back into the game, and again, I think overall we played the way we wanted to play. We from the way we dictated the game to the chances that we created. The only thing eluding us was scoring the goals that we created. I think we created 5 big chances. You're not going to win many games if you don't score at least half of those. But I think the effort, the way we wanted to get after them and dictate the game, I think we did a fantastic job. However, the way we play, we're going to be isolated at times, and whoever is isolated has to make a play. And again, a foul in their half of the field is never an issue, and we just didn't execute on those last 2 goals.
It looked like they were defending with a back 5 because they got the early goal. Why not? So if they needed to, they were defending with a back 5, and then the middle of the park was really congested. It looked like there was a little space, maybe 25, 30 yards out for an outside back to deliver ball in. Yedlin sent in a couple dangerous balls, but is that the way they're defending? Is that where you got to attack from?
That was what we talked about at halftime, getting Ojeda to pop into that pocket and Dre kind of releasing them on the right side. And I think we created some really good stuff in the second half when Ojeda was in there. Obviously, his positioning and his decision making, I think, led to that to the goal. You're spot on. That's the space that it's always a space when you play a 3 up front and two in the middle and a back 5. The spaces in between, the pivots are always going to be the home run spaces. So again. And then missing a PK doesn't help and changes momentum as well. So again, but again, the way we wanted to attack the game, everything but the moments.
I know you let the players decide, but standing over the sideline, did you want Luna to take the penalty? He has been in a couple situations earlier this year.
Yeah, no, Juan's been really, really good at penalties, and he does what he did tonight, which is sit the goalkeeper down. The only thing he needed to do is hit it a half an inch to the left, and it was a goal. So I wanted the person that's most confident to take the PK, and I think that's why I think Luna handed Juan the ball.
You had 12 corners tonight. What has to be done better to take advantage of all those set-piece opportunities?
Yeah, I think for me, set pieces are always the delivery, which I thought was excellent from Alex tonight. I thought it was really, really good. And then you gotta put your head in a position to where it's going to get knocked off. Because there's a guy defending you, and they have a bit of a zonal setup as well, and so it's coming in fast, and you just got to be first to the ball. And tonight there's a couple half chances in there, but I think it was probably our best delivery of the ball in corners all year. And again, it's just like in basketball, right? You got to use picks. You got to have this like nous in those moments because they're going to adapt to whatever they do, but setting picks for one another and just beating the guy to the spot and then hoping that the ball is delivered in a good spot. So those are things that we have to do better. But I thought the delivery was excellent tonight.
What explanation did you get on the red card? You were talking to the fourth official.
that he said he didn't see it, but they said that that he headbutted the guy, and I said I saw it. It's not a headbutt. It's a shoulder. But so that's the explanation.
You're big on the psychological part of the game. To lose 4-1 at home and have to go play the same team Sunday in a building where you've had some success but not a lot without Olatunji now. How do you address that with the guys so they go in there with some confidence? Because if you don't go in there with confidence, it could be a long game.
Yeah. So what I said to the guys is, I'm really, really proud of the way we played, and you executed the tactics. We're going to do it again. But we're going to score goals, and we're going to foul at midfield when we're isolated 1v1. We're not going to give up. The last 2 goals for me is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Right. That is not okay. You don't work as hard as you do and create as much as you do and defend as hard as you do against 2 of the best attacking players in this league, and then that's how the game ends up 4-1. So for me, it's do the same thing again, but run harder, kick harder, fight harder, and score your goals.
There were 4 hat tricks on the weekend. There's league record goals, and then you got another hat trick here. The spending's going up in this league. Is the club going to stick with winning through development at a time when the spending is just accelerating? How do you discuss that as you try to plan long term? Yeah, DJ, I think that's a conversation with someone else. My job is to do the best I can with the players that are in the building, and that's where all my attention and energy goes to is the guys in the locker room. Thanks.
Caleb? Yeah, Gozo's goal, pretty incredible. Once again, it seems like he just keeps adding something every week to his game. Thoughts on his performance tonight? I thought Gozo, again, I think he's a player that's playing with a lot of confidence, and I think he's got a killer mindset. And a lot of times he takes shots that he probably shouldn't be taking, but when you have that type of confidence, you're saying, okay. And the goal he scored tonight was a wonder goal, and I think it's just but he's doing all the little things right. The way he's pressing, the way he's getting after the ball, the way he's linking up. He's making better and better decisions with each game. And against a team like this, which is, they're sitting in a low block, crowd in the box, and to be able to come up with a play as he did, speaks volumes of his growth really in the last 6 months, which is pretty amazing. And then what about Son's game do you think has made his adjustment to MLS so successful so quickly? I think the reason why a lot of attacking players that come to our league have a lot of success is because teams invest a lot of their money in their attacking part of the field, right? And again, I think when you have a guy that's been shredding the Premier League for many years, we're not the Premier League, right? And so the looks that he gets are probably much better than he'd get in the Prem. However, he still has it, and I think that's why he is the player he is and brings the type of respect that he brings, because he's a player that in front of goal he's lethal, left, right, decision making, and again, it wasn't that they had a lot of the ball, but when they do, when you have Boanga and Son, it's a tough ask. But my challenges to the group is I feel like we have a great group of defenders, and my challenge to them is. If your aspirations are to go to Europe, these are 2 guys to lock horns with, but really lock horns, and I think for the most part, they did a really good job, but those last 2 goals for me will leave me, probably give me a sleepless night tonight, because again, those are just such fundamental football plays that we allowed their quality to show because of the decisions that we made.
Pablo, how much of tonight's loss was about execution versus that defensive breakdown?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the game's a game of momentum, and I think we, again, like I said, when you don't score the chances that you create, you're leaving the door open. The first goal they scored was kind of a broken play. I feel like we didn't defend a throw-in, and it came inside, and then it went back out. The second goal, again, it was a transition, and we didn't get close to Son. So, against these guys, you have to almost be perfect defensively. And the difficulty is the way we play is pretty risky defensively. But to change our identity to play against an LAFC team, then we're not going to create the 5 big chances that we created tonight. So it's really, that's why I'm saying doubling down. We're going there and we're doing the same thing, and we're going to get after the ball. And I don't care if it's away from home, and I don't care who they have on the field. Until we believe that we are better than what we're currently playing, then we'll never be a great team in this league. And I want to be a great team. I don't want to. I'm stressing to these guys that to be great, you have to be vulnerable. And when you're playing against great teams, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to learn. And you got to jump in the deep end, not knowing how to swim, and you got to survive, right? So for me, it's beyond this one game. And so what we're taking in this game is like, here are the things that we did fantastic. And I'm going to look at the tape, and I'm going to tell you there's going to be 4 moments that were so poor in one play, and that cost us the game. But it wasn't the overarching way we defended. It wasn't the overarching way we attacked. It wasn't the chances we created. It was 4 moments without the ball where we didn't make plays.
And then in Sunday's game, it will be Gozo's last game before he heads to the U20 World Cup. How big of an influence is he, and have you thought about who's going to fill in that spot?
We've been talking about it, and it's hard to replace. It's going to be crazy to say. It's hard to replace a young Gozo, given what he's been able to do with this group. You know, I think his energy, his quality on the ball, the way he defends, his confidence. I mean, those are big shoes to fill for a young guy. So we're, hopefully he has a fantastic performance with a great result for the group before he heads off to the championships.
Hey, Pablo. For my question, I'd like to provide a bit of context. So this might be a bit long-winded of a question, but there is a question at the end for you, I promise. At last Saturday's game, a fan in attendance was wearing a hat that violated the MLS fan code of conduct, as it had a political slogan on it. He was asked by security staff to remove the hat or leave, and he chose to leave. This person then went on social media to complain about this, garnering attention and responses from both sides of the political spectrum. From those he disagreed with, he replied to them with racist and homophobic slurs, issued death threats, and has in the past even supported bounties on killing transgender individuals. It was after all of this was done, the RSL then went on social media and issued a statement apologizing to this individual and inviting them back to the stadium. Even after this invitation was extended, RSL later posted about celebrating Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month, which this person replied to that post with, "Deport them all." He has said this specifically about players on the team before as well. I know there are some players on the team that are on social media and have seen these things being said by this, quote, fan, as well as others. So with that context, I'd like to ask 2 things. What is your role as a coach when players experience or see hate speech on social media? And what would you say to fans as a representative of the team?
So I'd start by saying that we have a very tight group, and we have a leadership group, and for as simple as so-and-so's cat passed away, maybe we need to put an arm around him. They come to me with this. Not one player has come to me with anything regarding what you just described. And so I think I am always here to support the players, and believe me, that there's issues that go the spectrum. I mean, it could be from the most mundane to the craziest. I've experienced it as a coach, and the role that I play is to support the players. That's my role, and it's going to be different players need different things, and in terms of, I think I'll just say that I think the club has handled the situation the best they can, given all the information, and I don't know half of this, right? And I think the club is doing a good job navigating this whole thing. I think it's a huge thing, and I think the one thing about any divisions is that soccer is supposed to bring people together. Like, soccer is the one game that has stopped wars, that has brought people together. And my hopes is that we can see the goodness and the positivity that we have around us, as opposed to always focusing on the negative things. There is so much beauty in this world. There is so much beauty in this world. But if you're always looking for the negative, you'll never see the beauty in this world. And so I just hope that we as a club, we as a league, can continue to bring out the beauty in this world, the beauty in the fans, and how important the fans are to make this game the special game that it is. Unlike any other sport, this is the most integrated, most diverse, most watched, most lived, most felt with a heart game that you can have on this planet, all over the world. And so my hope is that we continue to find the beauty in this game, find the beauty in our club, find the beauty in our league to make this to make this world a better place.
Thank you. As a follow-up, I do have a question. In the first half, the South End was notably a lot more quiet than they usually are. That was in response to the team's invitation for this person to come back and apology. Is that something that the South End, the supporters group, being silent, is that something that you notice as a coach or the players notice? Do you think it affects them mentally in any way?
To be honest, I didn't notice it, man. I didn't notice it, and I think everyone has the right to express themselves on all the millions of platforms that exist on this planet. It didn't affect the group, but again, I think when you understand that everyone is trying to do the best they can in a very difficult environment, you will start to see goodness. It's not easy for anybody. But if you're only looking at the bad things in life, you will live. It's terrible. And so the great thing is they express themselves the way they wanted to express them. But I'll tell you what, in the second half, they're loud and proud. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this club with those guys cheering.
There's RSL head coach Pablo Mastroeni. When we come back, Utah Mammoth general manager Bill Armstrong as the hockey club gets ready to get going. Second year for the NHL in Utah. First year for the Mammoth after the Utah Hockey Club last year. New players, higher hopes. Bill Armstrong next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We are joined by Bill Armstrong, Utah Mammoth general manager. Bill, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
We are doing well. Hockey season is here. Media day. Oh. You're talking with the media. Oh, wow. You get a massage while you're doing this interview?
No, he's just fired up.
No, we are fired up. This is game time. It's like just did the speech for the players, ready to go. We're all fired up.
And you've already said you believe you're a playoff team. What has changed in the preceding year? Because last year you were pumping the brakes a little bit. This year I don't sense that you're going to the break at all.
No, I think really as we have high expectations inside. It's the one thing that we constantly talk about here is trying to push that pace. And we believe we're a talented group enough. I don't know if we're mature enough in the sense that you have to have a huge amount of consistency. And we play in the toughest division in hockey. So it's not going to be easy. It might be the wild card, and we might clinch the last night of the season, in overtime. Who knows? It's going to be close. It's going to be tight. But that's the one thing we tried to describe to our players today. This is not an easy thing. This is a punch-in-the-face competition right now in our division, and it's not getting any easier. So you better get ready to go to war, and it's going to start. And with the Olympic schedule that we have, it's play, day off, play, day off. It's on from the get-go. So we just try to get our players a little bit of an understanding of what's going to be expected from them right from the get-go.
I thought, Bill, you had the quote of the year last year. It really made me laugh. Where I think it was Keller who got banged up in the face, and then he came back and played. And you said, it's what we do. Hockey players bleed on the ice. And I thought that just sums it up. Our first year in Utah, that's the one thing I took from your team. That quote was that was incredible. It'll go, in my mind, was the best quote that I've heard in a good long while. So I appreciate that. One of the things you said, just right now in your answer, was consistency. Right, and you want it from the individuals. You also want it from the team. As I went back and looked at the schedule last year, and one of the things that struck me is you had 6 streaks where you lost 3 games or more. If you can just find a way to reduce that, I mean, you had 2 5-gamers, if I remember. If you just reduce that ought to be good enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing, and that's what I talk about consistency, when we send our players home with that message about consistency. If you look underneath the analytics, and you go really deep and you peel the onion back and you put our team, and you're like, we're 10th best in the National Hockey League. It's just a consistency part, and we haven't quite got there. And that was what we talked about during obviously the meeting this morning, but throughout the summers, trying to get more consistency from our group. I think there's an aspect of being young that comes into obviously play, but at the end of the day, we're talented enough, and we want to set our goals that we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to find a way to get in.
How much of this is the growth of each individual guy, especially a couple of your younger guys you got really high hopes for, and how much of this is adding new guys, especially Peterka?
It's a combination. Last year we couldn't score. We just had a tough time scoring, and I felt like, adding another guy that has that ability to finish is going to be huge for our club. So I do think that's going to help, but I also think internally, the growth of your team with the young guys coming back, and Logan Cooley 10 pounds heavier, a little faster, Gunther 10 pounds heavier. I think the two combinations is what's going to get us over the hump and allow us to get into that playoff spot.
That's a funny thing, man. You already led into my next question about the guys getting bigger and stronger, that type of thing, because, you got a couple smaller guys, even the two Russian guys that, they got size, but they're a little on the slender side. That's something that you're confident will take place with just simply maturity.
Well, yeah, I mean, maturity and protein. And some weights mixed in there. We have such a great strength staff, that we not only work out, we only used to work out, in the off season. Now it's done after every game, every practice. So you do have an ability to put more strength and add more weight during the course of the year, which helps. But we've got, Dimitri Simashev and Daniel Booth. They'll push for positions on the club. They're big guys and they're pretty athletic guys. So they're going to be fun to watch. But those guys have had great off seasons. They've added some weight. It's going to be exciting to see what they can do. And if you want to fix something on your club and you add two, whether it's you want to get faster and you add two guys that are lightning fast, it usually changes with your club, and those are two big guys that can play hockey, and we want to add a little bit of size each year to our club, and they're going to help us out doing that.
With the added experience, will that really show up in the both the power play and killing penalties, and then in overtime where there are also points available? You just swing a few, and that tends to be the ice is wide open then, so even if it isn't a penalty situation, it's different. In those three areas, how much improvement can you get? Because it seems like the handful of points you need might be available right there.
Well, our power play was at 24%. I think we were in the top 10 with that. I still think we can improve. I do. I think our players are young and there's still improvement there. I think the PK has got some growth. I think, adding Sergachev to the mix and now adding Tanev, who is an elite PK guy, we're going to take a step there. For us on the other side of that is our team. I think there's still some growth ahead in all areas, allowing us to get into the playoffs. I do believe that, that our team as it sits right now is not fully developed. And I still think there's, whether it's a PP or PK and all the other areas, we still have a ton of room for growth.
When you talk about the opportunity to work out after practices and stuff, how about the new facility? How much is that going to aid in that development?
Well, we talk about the ice surfaces. Last year it was okay at the Delta Center, and I think everything was just moving quick, and we're trying to get the ice up to NHL standards. Now, number one, they have an elite chilling system and a way to make ice in there with two new dehumidifiers. So I do believe the ice is going to be so much better for us. And now you throw in the practice facility. I'm telling you guys, this is the nicest practice facility in the NHL, and it allows us to play fast and practice fast, just to be able to use both ice sheets without it getting too snowy on, and keeping practice at a high level. But the weight rooms and everything in there are just incredible. Ryan Smith, Ashley Smith, SEG, and their corporation have absolutely crushed it. 13 months ago we were standing in here and it was an old Macy's, and now it's an elite training facility, the best in the NHL. Utah is an amazing place, and Ryan Smith and his wife Ashley just done an amazing job at not only telling us we were going to get it, but delivering on it.
Do they still have the mall there? You can still go over to the food court and get in a slice of pizza and come back?
Yeah, you can do that. You absolutely can do that. That's the great thing about where we are, and you get a great mountain view, too, at the same time.
So for people who haven't skated and played hockey, explain about the ice surface, what it was, why it's better, and how that impacts the game and basically your ability to win.
Well, we're a fast team. At the end of the day, we got young legs and we're fast. And when it gets snowy, it just slows down the whole pace of the game. And teams can kind of play their game. They can slow us down with bad ice. So I feel like now that's in our control. We're going to have the best ice in the NHL in the Delta Center. I think it's going to be huge. And we can play fast and keep our pace and put it on teams. And then you throw the altitude in there. I think it's an advantage for us. When we're practicing here, again, if you're playing on ice that's all chewed up and it doesn't move as fast. So what we'd like to do is do about 20 minutes on fresh ice, then switch ice surfaces and go on that ice surface for 20 minutes and then come back on this. So we're constantly on new ice, which allows us to practice and play at a fast level. And I do believe it gives us an advantage.
I saw where you guys are basically you're going to cut ties with Connor Ingram. And if it comes to it, you'll waive them, I think is what I saw you say. Talk about and speak to this to the situation at goalkeeper and goalies. It seems like it might be a little more stable going into this season with more clarity.
Yeah, well, first of all, we are so happy that Connor's back healthy and ready to go. That's the first priority, and we liked him. He was amazing. On our team when he played. We both came to a mutual agreement because of our goaltending situation that, we're going to try and do everything we can to get him back playing. So if we waive him, maybe it's another NHL team that picks him up or he goes to the American League. But at the end of the day, Connor's going to get back to playing hockey, and that was our number one priority. So he won't be in camp with us, but at some point in time here in the next little bit, he's going to get back playing on the ice, and that's going to be huge. And we're a big fan of Connor Ingram, and we're wishing him the best.
Bill Armstrong, Utah Mammoth general manager, joining us. You mentioned the Olympic schedule. So will this mean more back-to-backs? How long is the break? How many guys, you can't know for sure. Do you have a ballpark on how many guys might be going to that? And what you do with the rest of the team to keep them sharp as far as getting them the time off they need, but not too much time off?
Yeah, and that scares you as a GM. First of all, we're excited about, obviously sending our players over there. We're always concerned about injuries that might occur at the level and the intensity that they play over there. But it's also an honor for our players to go over there, and we support it 100%. I think the break is going to be about 3 weeks, and because of that, you're playing every other day, and it's on. For the players that don't go, they've got to find a way to keep in shape, whether that's staying in Utah or a place that's got a rink. But you basically got 3 weeks off, so you can gain a lot of gain a lot of weight in 3 weeks if you're not working out. So it's definitely something as an organization, you definitely want to make sure we keep an eye on it and keep our players training the right way, and so when we come back, we can push for the playoffs.
Bill, we appreciate the time. Good luck. We're looking forward to the puck dropping and everything getting going. It's we're in the business of more games. More games good, fewer games bad.
I love it.
Let's go.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Can't wait for the hockey season to get revved back up. Here we go.
There's Bill Armstrong. A reminder to join Hans and Scotty G tomorrow from noon to 3 at RGS Exteriors at 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Riley Jensen talking college football next. Stay with us. DJ and PK. We are joined now by Riley Jensen, former Utah State quarterback, longtime high school football coach, college football expert, and mental performance coach. Man, you wear a lot of hats, Riley.
Well, you get old enough, there's just been a lot of hats.
Do you put hat on hat?
You know what? I took a lot of hats. I didn't put very much hat on hat.
Because that's one of my favorite football jock cliches, hat on hat. It might be number one.
That's your favorite one?
I think I got hat on hat above put your hand in the dirt.
Put your hand in the dirt?
Yeah.
I would actually really like to figure out like the favorite cliches of football coaches. There's one out there from a local coach that I'll have to tell you later that drives me crazy. It is what it is. It's a tough one for me.
1/11th. Because you got to do your 1/11th. Like I often tell DJ and Yak they got to do their 1/4 because I'll handle the other half.
You'll handle the other half?
Yeah, they only need to do their 1/4, and then we're good.
Right. Out of you three, you're carrying the load.
I'm lazy. It works for me, Riley. I just scale back from 33% to 25%. And
as long as these guys are assignment sound, we're good to go.
Spill a little food on myself, and I'm ready.
It's a lot of pressure. PK. Do you need any mental coaching on that? Because I can help you out. I mean, showing up every day and just carrying the team on your shoulders. There's another one for you.
I need more mental help than is available in the mental health industry.
I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad you did.
Riley, we've had a lot of college football games that were total mismatches, and it's hard to know what's going on. And one thing I've noticed, and we were talking with Bronco Mendenhall about this, Utah State, I mean, they just had guys running around wide open against Air Force. And so what are they doing? Why is that happening? And Bronco said, well, Kevin McGivern's offense, it happens in part because guys do blow assignments, but it also happens because McGivern's offense puts people in really difficult situations. And then I thought, well, I've been seeing Devin Dampier. We're all trying to figure him out, right? He's good, but how good is he? And I'm like, man, some of these throws he's completing, the guys are just wide open. 10 yards downfield, 8, 12 yards downfield, whatever. And so, of course, he ought to complete that. He looks good. He throws it on time, and he's a guy in stride, so he has a chance to run for more yards. But it's not that hard, right? And so, but it keeps happening game after game, and Bronco gives us his answer on Monday. So I wonder if that applies to Utah. And I asked Kyle if guys are making mistakes, why are guys open? And he took the answer one step further as far as the Utah offense. Listen up right here.
Put them in conflict and pickle, as Jason Beck likes to say, pickle the defense, and not only schematically within coverages, but by position. Put defensive ends, linebackers in situations where they can't be right. If they do one thing, we do this, and if they do the other thing, we do that.
Putting defenders in a situation where they can't be right. I don't think I've heard people talk like that before. What are they doing? Is it sustainable? Can the defense eventually figure it out? It does look like they're ahead of the curve. There was a time Urban was ahead of the curve with the read option, and now teams defend that a lot better. They still make mistakes, but they defend a lot better. What are we seeing here, and is it sustainable?
Well, what I think you're seeing is good quarterback play. I mean, look, one of my biggest criticisms of Devin Dampier before the season started was his 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Well, he's answering that question. He has 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He has a firm grasp of their offense, and they in our terms, Coach Beck's calling it pickle, but when you're talking about offense, you call it the conflict player. So on every single play, you're putting somebody in conflict, meaning he's danged if he does and he's danged if he doesn't. And if you do it right, and if the quarterbacks make the right read, you can make plays all day long because they're wrong, especially with this run-pass option that a lot of quarterbacks are getting good at. Bryson Barnes was so good on Saturday night. I think that's probably his best college football game. But I think what happens is guys get older, and as they become veterans, this is why we love a senior quarterback. This is why we love veteran quarterbacks, is because they start to understand these concepts quicker and faster than they ever have, and they put these guys in conflict, and it is really tough to stop defensively when you do it. And these quarterbacks are playing at a super high level. I mean, not only were wide receivers wide open for Utah State, but the run game was wide open, and that has to do with putting a defensive end, putting an outside linebacker, putting different guys in tough situations. There was one play that just made me so happy, because when I was at North Carolina State and we were coaching Phillip Rivers, he must have got guys to jump off sides 10 times during the year where we got to get a free play and throw a long bomb. And he probably, out of those 10 plays, he probably had 4 touchdowns where we just took off and threw a touchdown. Well, Bryson Barnes did that on Saturday. He got a guy to jump off sides. His wide receiver runs down the field, and he throws a strike down the field for a touchdown. I mean, that's a veteran move. That is a move that makes your team play great football, and it allows you to put teams away. I mean, they're both playing at a really high level. Both of them can run the ball, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Why are we still debating whether Devin Dampier is good? I don't understand it.
I don't know. He doesn't check all the boxes as far as like size and stature goes. But nobody. I know some people have made a comparison to Kyler Murray, but I don't know that he's as good as Kyler Murray yet. But man, he does some things running the ball and throwing the ball that are beautiful. And yeah, wide receivers are wide open. Isn't that refreshing? Isn't that nice to have some guys that are wide open down the field? I mean, it makes the job so much easier as a quarterback. And then I think the offensive line for the University of Utah has been really, really good. Like, they have kept some really clean pockets for him. And, man, when you put a quarterback in a 7-on-7 situation, he's going to complete 90% of his passes when he has that much time.
If there's one thing we can say definitively through 3 games about the Utes, is that they have not been able to make a lot of big plays. And when they have, it hasn't been throwing the deep ball down the field. We haven't really seen that at Devin Dampier. He's probably taken about 5 deep shots off the top of my head, and most of them have been underthrown. A couple of times that's led to a penalty once a guy came back and caught the ball for a 36-yard gain. But there hasn't been a lot of that. Does that worry you?
It worries you from the sense that, one of the best formulas that I've heard for winning over the past, and there's always like different coaches that have different formulas. My favorite formula for winning is if you win the turnover battle, which is, that's pretty obvious, right? But then you win what they call the explosive battle. So if you have more explosives than your other team, and you win the turnover battle, it's something like 98% of the time you'll win the game. And that one is an important one. Like, you do have to keep people on their toes, but an explosive is considered a 20-yard play. So I'd be interested to look at what their explosives are, because maybe they're not 50-yard plays, but I feel like they're getting 20-yard chunks. I feel like they're getting 18-yard plays. I feel like they're getting 25-yard plays. Maybe they're not over the top of the defense, but right now I feel like they're gashing people. Now, the first half against Wyoming, I think people forget that, Wyoming, every single player on Wyoming's team was the best player on their high school football team for the most part. It's not like the first-string guys in Division I football are terrible. It usually has to do with depth, and it usually has to do with they can't bring in a second-string lineman that's quite as good as the second-string lineman for Utah or BYU or Utah, And so that you forget that these guys are good football players. And I thought Wyoming played with an extreme amount of effort in the first half. Utah came out in the second half and made some adjustments, and they looked great in the second half. But it's, there's always going to be something to whine about. There's always something to complain about. But you got to love, if you're a Utah fan, the way that your team is responding to any adversity that comes their way right now.
Why are we worried about Devin Dampier not completing the lowest percentage pass available in anybody's offense? The stretch over the top is designed to loosen up the defense. It isn't necessarily designed to complete the pass. What are we doing here, guys?
Well, it's hard for me to complain about 73% and 7 touchdowns and no interceptions. That's a quarterback that's taken what the defense has given him. And, man, he's just super athletic in the run game. He's a fun guy to watch. This is a fun quarterback. Enjoy this quarterback.
How about Bear Bachmeier going on the road for the first time as a freshman? What apprehensions do you have about that? You've been there, Riley R. Jensen.
So I have been to East Carolina.
That's what I meant.
Literally.
Unfortunately, I've been to East Carolina. I don't like that school that much. But so it's going to be damp. It's going to be kind of like the lights at East. Is it a night game or is it a day game?
It's night back there, right? 7:30, so 5:30 our time.
So it's gonna, like, the lights aren't really good there. It's really interesting. Like, it's just not. It's D1, but it's like, I don't know. It's the dirty South to me to play at East Carolina. So he's going to be playing in like some dark lighting. It's going to be really damp. The crowd is going to be absolutely nasty. But here's what I would tell a freshman quarterback, that I would tell a senior quarterback, that I would tell any quarterback that's going on the road for the first time. After the game starts, it feels just like any other game that you're playing in. You're not going to be able to hear the crowd that much. You're not going to be. You might be nervous for the first two plays. You know, what I would warn him about, and I'm sure that they're doing some crowd noise and some different things like that, is you do have to be louder and more assertive as a quarterback when you're on the road, because if you get caught down inside the 20-yard line on either end of the end zone, it gets really, really loud, and it can lead to some false starts. It can lead to players not hearing the play correctly, so they run the wrong route. The first time that I played on the road where it was like a really difficult situation was at Colorado, and I got caught down in that, I think it's the south end zone where the Colorado sign is, and there was a ton of students down there, and it was super loud. And that's not a huge stadium, but, man, it can get really loud. And so you just have to be assertive, you have to be confident in yourself, and you have to make sure that everybody is being communicated to if it gets a little bit loud. But, you know, the best way to, like, stop a stadium from being loud is score touchdowns early. And then it just becomes easy.
How many winners are we going to have locally here? I mean, Utah State's got McNeese, so that's one. You want to pick anybody else to win? What do you think?
I think East Carolina is a really, really interesting game. It's the two time zones that you always talk about that are difficult. It's a freshman quarterback on the road. I do feel like BYU has the defense to shut down. You're going to see some guys on East Carolina's team that have some unique speed. So I do think they're going to score some points, but I think BYU can pull that one off. So I think Utah at home, I don't know why not. The way Devin Dampier's playing, I know it's an early game, and so people are like, oh, it's not going to be as fun as like a Utah night game. Maybe not, but Utah's a pretty special place as far as the crowd noise and everything else goes. Texas Tech's quarterback is pretty dang good. Like his coach says, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, but I think the defense at Utah is really good. I think it's suffocating to play at the U. I don't have any trouble picking all three home teams this week, or all three teams this week.
Not a kid.
Sorry, I'm just real positive today, I guess.
Me too.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I am. I have no doubts in Devin Dampier. I'm done with that.
I'm not saying he's perfect, but, man, I mean, what are we going to complain about until we see something exposed? Right now, it looks good to me.
It does to me, too. I can only see through my eyes, Riley R. Jensen.
Here we go. Here we go.
What do you mean, here we go?
Riley, that was well done. I got to say, Riley, just bravo.
What are you talking about? Here we go.
This is the perfect example of what PK does. He's like the adversary. He doesn't push against you. He just takes you by the small of your back and pushes you past the mark that you were already going with exaggeration and with influence.
So he's a left tackle that's beaten? A left tackle that's beaten? Just shove him in the back, push him past the quarterback?
Yeah. Exactly.
I couldn't stay in front of him, but he couldn't get to the QB, beaten? So that's good enough.
When have I been beaten in radio?
No, I'm not even saying you're beaten. I'm just saying you like to push people past the mark. You know,
I like to stretch the boundaries so their limits are exposed and they get better.
Listen, you're the type of person that if I was becoming like super religious, you would push me way past the mark and make me self-righteous instead of just super religious. That's how you do it. That's how you work. I know I'm on to you. I am on to you.
I'm just trying to make Riley R. Jensen the best Riley R. Jensen that he can be.
By pushing me past the marks. I get it. I get what you're doing.
So you establish a new mark. That's the way it works. Jeez.
DJ, I do not know how you do this.
Don't set your limits.
Listen.
You're limiting yourself. I'm here to get the very best out of Riley R. Jensen.
You're pretty good at this yourself, Riley. I see the master at work here. You're doing it. Out of professor. Detached bemusement, scholars. Detached bemusement.
That's you had a professor told you that?
Uh-huh.
I had a professor told me embargo spelled backwards was oh grab me.
Oh, grab me.
I wouldn't mind taking a class from that professor.
PK, if I told you that you hated the University of Utah, what would you say right now?
You're right.
See, you just proved my point.
See?
He hates the University of Utah. I've always hated him. I've hated him for 15 years, ever since the day I got here. I can't stand him. This is
ever since you were born. Borrow the. You were halfway to the line. Go ahead and just use it.
No, he's right. Ever since I got here, it took me about 3 days. This place sucks.
You met Majerus, he yelled at you and it was on? Is that what happened?
If I were to say to PK, you love the Aggies. Oh, I have had so much respect for that program. I love Bronco. I love Jan Jorgensen. Blah blah. This is how he does it. This is what he does. He just goes. He goes with the pitch, and he tries to frustrate you by going with the pitch.
Ronnie, we appreciate it as always. You're the man. We see the mental performance coach at work here at the end. That was very well done. All the hats, Riley. All the hats. Wear all the hats.
All right, man. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
There's Riley Jensen. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.